Before a man speaks, before his words form into sentences, his soul has already started telling you something. It whispers through his body, through his movements, and in the spaces where words fail. His heart begins to shift long before his mind has a clarity or words to explain it. You can see in the way his hands might tremble ever so slightly when you're near, or how his voice catches when he speaks your name. These are the signs of love that begin before he's even aware of them. Carl Jung, the philosopher who explored the deepest layers of the human mind, once said, "What is not made conscious appears as fate." This is a realm where love begins, where the unconscious mind speaks before the conscious one can catch up. It's not in the perfect sentences or dramatic confessions. It's in the small, unnoticed shifts that happen deep inside the soul. This is a kind of love that doesn't need to be loudly declared because it already exists silently beneath the surface. You may find yourself wondering why he doesn't always say exactly how he feels. Maybe he's distant one day, almost as if there's something behind his silence you can't reach. And then on another day, he's suddenly more present, more attentive, as though something inside him has shifted. He might be watching you with more intensity, or even remembering small details you've shared that you never thought he paid attention to. At times, this might confuse you. You might question whether he truly feels what he does not yet say, or whether his interest is even real. But here's the thing, his soul already knows. His inner being has already begun to acknowledge something deep and meaningful, something that even his conscious mind has not fully grasped yet. The soul speaks before the lips do. It speaks in silence, in gestures, in the tiny moments that speak louder than words ever could. Jung taught us that the unconscious mind operates long before the conscious one even catches on. It makes connections and bonds that are not easily explained. And these early signs of love, the small, subtle ones, often go unnoticed by most people. But if you pay close attention, you'll start to see them. His hands lingering just a second longer when they brush against yours. The way his eyes soften when you speak, even if he's not saying anything. The slight tension in his posture when you're near, as if he's holding back something powerful that he can't quite put into words. It's in the way he looks at you when you're not expecting it. The way his gaze lingers just a moment longer than it should. This is not a simple glance, but an acknowledgement of something deeper, something beyond the surface. It's as if, in those few seconds, he is seeing not just you as you are, but what you represent to him on a much deeper level. The fact that he doesn't look away quickly, or the way his eyes seem to trace your every movement. These are signs his unconscious mind is already deeply attuned to you. It's also in the way he remembers something small, something you said weeks ago, something that didn't seem significant at the time. Perhaps you mentioned a song you like, or a small childhood memory, and weeks later, he brings it up as if it's as important to him as it was to you. These are not coincidences. His unconscious mind is taking note of every detail, storing away, recognize it as a part of what makes you who you are. You see, love is not always announced loudly. It doesn't always need words to confirm it. Sometimes, love is felt in the space between the moments. It's in the small acts of attention, the subtle shifts in behavior, the quiet ways someone begins to include you in their thoughts and plans, before they even realize it. Jung's wisdom reminds us that love begins in the unconscious mind, and it's often long before our conscious minds catch up. His idea of fate is a tendency for unconscious desires and connections to reveal themselves in subtle ways, guiding our actions without us even knowing it. This love is not based on logic or reason. It's something that moves quietly and steadily beneath the surface, almost as if it was written into the fabric of who we are. When he doesn't speak, when he remains quiet, don't mistake that for distance. His silence may not be emptiness. It may be awe. His stillness might not be lack of interest. It may be reverence. Jung understood that love is not always expressed in grand gestures or perfect words. Sometimes, the most profound love is found in the spaces where words fall short, in the pauses between sentences, in the unspoken presence that lingers longer than anything a person could ever say. His unconscious mind has already recognized you, even if he hasn't fully caught up to that realization. It's not confusion. It's emergence. His deeper self knows what his conscious mind is still trying to understand. And that's the magic of love. It starts long before you can put it into words, long before you even realize it's there. The unconscious mind works quietly, often in the shadows, guiding behavior without the person even realizing it. When a man starts to fall in love, the changes are subtle at first. You may not see them at first glance, but if you pay attention, you'll begin to notice the shifts, small, almost imperceptible moments that reveal what his soul is beginning to recognize long before his conscious mind catches up. These shifts aren't loud. They don't demand attention. Instead, they show up in the quiet spaces of everyday life. His attention becomes softer when you're near, his body language more open. He might become less guarded around you, as if something within him knows he doesn't need to protect himself anymore. In his presence, there's an unspoken comfort that wasn't there before. His walls start to fall, and you see the person beneath, the real him, not just the version he presents to the world. You might notice that his gaze becomes more focused on you, as if he's noticing you in a way he hadn't before. It's not a look of infatuation or desire. It's deeper. He sees you, truly sees you, in a way that transcends the surface level. It's the kind of gaze that lingers, not out of obligation or curiosity, but because his unconscious is beginning to recognize something about you that feels familiar, almost like it's been there all along. His attention may also shift in the way he remembers small details about you, things that you might have forgotten yourself. Maybe you recall something you said months ago about your favorite book, a memory from childhood, or a fear you've never voiced aloud. He remembers not because he's trying to impress you, but because something inside him is taking note of what matters to you. This is his unconscious mind slowly aligning with yours, beginning to understand the depths of your being. These signs may seem small, but they speak volumes. Jung believed that the unconscious doesn't need to announce itself with grand gestures or declarations. Instead, it reveals itself in small, quiet moments. It's the way he listens intently when you speak, not just with his ears, but with his whole being. It's the way he shows up for you in the smallest of ways, offering to carry your bags, holding the door open, or just standing by when you need someone to lean on. These aren't just polite gestures. They're the ways in which his soul begins to show care, without needing to be asked. When a man starts to fall in love, he doesn't always know how to express it in words, but his actions, however small, begin to tell a different story. The way he cares for you, not out of obligation, but because he feels something deep inside himself that calls him to do so. His gestures become expressions of something his mind hasn't fully processed, yet his soul understands. Jung talked about this unconscious connection, the way love stirs something within us before we are even aware of it. It's this shift in behavior that marks the beginning of love manifesting. If you watch closely, you'll see the way he begins to protect you in ways that don't seem to come from fear, but from a deep sense of respect and reverence. He asks if you've eaten, checks in on you after a stressful day, or notices when you're cold and offers you his jacket. These actions are not the result of an impulse to win you over, but the result of an unconscious need to care for you, because something in him recognizes you as important. It's as if your presence in his life has started to matter more than he's willing to admit. Jung's idea of projection helps explain these changes. The unconscious mind projects our internal desires and needs onto the world around us. When a man begins to fall in love, his inner world starts to align with the presence of the person he's beginning to care for. You become a reflection of something he deeply desires or recognizes, not just in form, but in essence. And that recognition shows up in the way he begins to act, subtly but powerfully. When love begins to stir in a man's unconscious mind, it often emerges in the most subtle ways. It doesn't always present itself with fanfare or excitement. Instead, it manifests in the way he responds to you, not through words, but through actions that speak louder than anything he could ever say. His inner world is beginning to shift, and his feelings, though unspoken, are slowly being revealed in the quiet spaces of your connection. One of the most profound signs that he's more in love with you than he knows is the way his body begins to mirror yours. Jung often spoke of how two psyches can resonate with one another in a way that transcends logic. It's as though your emotional rhythm aligns, even without either of you realizing it. When you're happy, he feels it. When you're anxious or upset, he picks up on it before you even say a word. It's not that he's trying to read you. It's that his unconscious mind has already made the connection. You may notice that when you enter a room, his energy shifts. His posture softens, his gaze becomes warmer, and he seems to become more present in the moment. These are not just fleeting changes. They are signs that his unconscious mind is adjusting to the presence of something significant in his life. You. This mirroring of emotional states is one of the most powerful indicators that he is falling for you, even if he hasn't consciously admitted it yet. When you speak, his attention shifts entirely to you, as though everything around him fades into the background. In those moments, he isn't just listening to your words. He's absorbing the essence of who you are. Jung believed that love often begins in the unconscious realm, and this mirroring of emotional states is one of the clearest ways love makes its presence known. It's in the way he holds space for you in his life. It's not always about the big gestures or sweeping romantic acts. Instead, love shows itself in the subtle ways he begins to prioritize your presence. When you're talking, he's not distracted. When you're sharing something important, he's fully engaged, holding on to every word. His focus becomes singular, because in that moment, everything else fades, and you are the most important thing in his world. Another sign is the way he starts to include you in his thoughts. If you notice him casually mentioning things like, "We should visit that place together sometime," or, "I think you'd really like this movie," this is his unconscious mind beginning to shape a world where you are a part of it. He doesn't have a plan to ask you yet, and he certainly isn't trying to impress you. But something in him is already envisioning a future where you belong. Jung often spoke about the idea of projection, how we see others through the lens of our own unconscious desires and needs. When a man starts projecting his deeper feelings for you, it shows up in the way he incorporates you into his plans, his conversations, and even his dreams. He may not say it yet, but his unconscious is already aligning with the idea of you being a part of his life. This subtle inclusion of you in his world is not a coincidence. It is the first inkling of his soul recognizing you as someone important, someone worth making space for in the future. His unconscious mind has already begun to shape a path that includes you long before his conscious mind fully acknowledges it. And this is where the depth of love truly begins to show, when he doesn't need to speak it, because his actions are already revealing it. The way he remembers your preferences, the way he offers comfort without being asked, and the way he starts to shape his world around you. These are not coincidences. They are signs that his soul is quietly falling in love with you, even if his mind is still catching up. As a man's feelings begin to deepen, his love for you will often show itself in the unspoken, quiet ways he cares for you. This is where Jung's concept of the unconscious comes into full play. Love doesn't always need grand declarations or elaborate gestures. Sometimes, it's in the smallest, seemingly insignificant acts that speak volumes about how deeply someone is beginning to care. These unspoken acts often come from a place of deep, intuitive understanding. You may notice him doing small things for you without being asked, adjusting his schedule to make time for you, offering help before you even mention that you need it, or simply being present when you're going through something difficult. These actions aren't meant to be noticed or praised. They are natural expressions of his growing affection, actions that come from the deeper parts of him that he may not fully understand. One of the clearest signs that he is in love with you, even if he doesn't know it yet, is his willingness to show up for you in these small but meaningful ways. Jung believed that when we connect deeply with another person, our unconscious minds begin to recognize something within them that we need, something that feels familiar and essential. This recognition doesn't always need words. It's reflected in the way we treat each other in the smallest moments. For instance, when he notices that you're having a bad day and sends you a text just to check in, or offers a simple word of encouragement. That's love being expressed in a quiet, unspoken way. It's not about making you feel special through big gestures. It's about taking care of you in ways that might seem subtle, but that reveal his deep care and affection for you. Jung also spoke about the anima and animus, the inner feminine in men and the inner masculine in women. When a man's anima is stirred by a woman, he starts to see her not just for who she appears to be, but for what she represents to him on a much deeper psychological level. His actions, then, are not just about impressing you. They are about fulfilling an emotional need that his unconscious mind has recognized. He doesn't know why he's doing these things for you, but something in him tells him it's necessary. It's as if his soul is quietly offering care because it has begun to understand the significance of your presence in his life. This unspoken devotion can manifest in the way he becomes protective of you, not in a controlling way, but in the way he watches out for your well-being. It's in the way he holds the door open for you, or the way he ensures you're safe when you leave. These aren't gestures to win you over. They are simply his deeper self recognizing that you are someone worth protecting, someone who has become an important part of his inner world. He's not thinking about impressing you. He's thinking about you in ways his mind hasn't fully caught up to yet. And when he begins to open up to you, even in small, hesitant ways, you might see a glimpse of his vulnerability. Jung believed that when two people connect deeply, they bring out the best in each other, but also the parts of themselves they've been hiding. As he begins to fall for you, his unconscious mind starts to trust you, and with that trust comes a willingness to show you parts of himself that he's been guarding. This is the moment when his actions, simple and small as they may seem, begin to speak of a love that is growing quietly within him. The way he checks in to see if you've eaten or how he notices when something's wrong without you saying a word are not just acts of kindness. They are his soul beginning to recognize and care for yours. Love doesn't need to be loud. In fact, the most profound forms of love are often the quietest. When a man begins to fall in love, his protective instincts shift. These instincts are not about control or possession. They are about the preservation of something sacred, something that his unconscious mind has recognized. Jung understood that love, when it is real, activates something deep within us, an ancient desire to protect what matters most. And in this case, what matters most is you. His protection doesn't always look like you might expect. It isn't dramatic or loud. It's not about grand gestures meant to impress. It's in the quieter moments, the little actions that show how much he values you. You might notice him walking a little slower when you're together, making sure that you're safe when you cross the street, or even subtly adjusting the temperature if he knows you're cold. These small acts aren't about proving his love to anyone. They're his way of expressing his care in a way that feels instinctive to him. Jung spoke about how the unconscious mind is not just an isolated part of our psyche, but is deeply connected to others, especially those we form close emotional bonds with. When a man begins to feel love, his unconscious mind recognizes something in you, something that feels important, sacred even. And with that recognition comes an instinct to protect you. Not because he feels a need to control, but because he knows that you are something precious, something worth guarding. You might even notice that he becomes more attuned to your emotions. He picks up on the smallest shifts in your mood before you even say a word. He can sense when you're upset, even if you're trying to hide it. His protective nature isn't just physical, it's emotional. He becomes your silent supporter, the one who stands beside you when you feel vulnerable or unsure. This is where love begins to show its true depth. It's not about making grand gestures. It's about being there when you need someone the most, without asking for anything in return. When a man starts to protect you, whether emotionally or physically, it's not because he's trying to impress you or earn your affection. It's because, at a deeper level, he feels that you are part of his world, and his world is better with you in it. Jung also spoke about the idea of projection, where we project our internal desires and fears onto others. When a man is in love, he may unconsciously project his desire to care for you onto his actions. It's not about trying to win you over. It's about fulfilling a need that has been awakened deep inside him. He doesn't need to announce it. He shows in the way he cares for you, the way he ensures your well-being in small, unspoken ways. You might find that he is more attentive to your needs, more considerate of your feelings. These small but meaningful actions are not random. They are the result of his unconscious mind recognizing you as someone worth protecting. His soul has already begun to shape a world where you are valued and cared for, and this sense of protection is one of the first signs of love taking root. As a man's unconscious mind begins to recognize love, something else awakens within him, his vulnerability. Love, when it begins to take root, does not always bring strength and certainty. Instead, it brings vulnerability, and it is in this vulnerability that true emotional depth is revealed. Jung taught that when two people connect deeply, they not only find strength in each other, but they also expose the parts of themselves that they've kept hidden. This is the power of love. It allows us to show parts of ourselves that we've been guarding. For a man, this can be a difficult process, especially if he spent his life protecting himself from emotional exposure. But love has a way of breaking down those walls, slowly, quietly, often without him even realizing it. As his feelings for you grow, you may notice subtle shifts in his behavior. Moments when his confidence seems to falter or when he stumbles over words he once spoke with ease. This is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of his deeper self-awakening. His vulnerability begins to show not through dramatic confessions, but in small, personal moments where he is no longer trying to be perfect or guarded. Instead, he lets his guard down, allowing you to see him for who he truly is. For example, he might share something personal from his past, something he's never shared with anyone else. Or he might express a fear or insecurity that he's never admitted aloud. These moments of vulnerability are powerful because they show that he is beginning to trust you with the deepest parts of himself, parts that he has often kept hidden. Jung believed that when we open ourselves to love, we also open ourselves to vulnerability. It is in these moments of emotional openness that true connection is formed. When a man begins to love you, he may not be able to articulate his feelings just yet, but you will notice that his actions become more genuine. He may be less concerned with impressing you and more focused on simply being present with you. His love doesn't need to be perfect, and neither does he. He becomes more human around you, not more polished, but more real. You might see him fumble with his words, his sentences stammering, not because he's unsure of how to communicate with you, but because his soul has already recognized you. There is a sacredness to these moments of vulnerability because they show that his heart is beginning to open, even if his mind is still trying to catch up. Jung often spoke of how love awakens the soul to parts of itself that is long ignored or hidden. This awakening of vulnerability is one of the most beautiful signs that love is growing within him. When he starts to let his guard down around you, it's not a sign of insecurity or weakness. It's a sign that he trusts you enough to be his true self. And that trust, even if unspoken, is a powerful declaration of love. Love is not about perfection. It's about accepting each other's flaws and weaknesses, and in those moments of vulnerability, he begins to see you not just as someone he desires, but as someone he can truly share himself with. As a man's love for you deepens, his actions begin to reveal something even more profound, the soul's quiet declaration of commitment. Jung believed that love is not merely an intellectual choice. It is a recognition of something sacred within another person. It is a connection that transcends words and logic, and it is felt in the subtle ways two people's lives begin to intertwine. You might not hear the words, "I love you," just yet, but in the way he starts to rearrange his life around you, in the small adjustments he makes to include you in his world, you can feel it. Love, at its core, is not about grand proclamations or dramatic gestures. It's about the deep, quiet commitment that is felt in every action, in every thought, in every moment spent with you. When a man is falling in love, he doesn't need to announce it. His actions will speak for him. The way he changes his schedule to make room for you, the way he asks for your opinion on things that once didn't matter, and the way he begins to integrate you into his plans for the future. These are the signs that love has already taken root. His unconscious mind has already aligned itself with you, and his soul has begun to shape a world where you are included, even before his conscious mind can fully admit it. Love doesn't always come with clarity, but it does come with signs. And as you continue to pay attention to these signs, you will begin to see that he is more in love with you than he even realizes. It's not in the words he says. It's in the way he moves through the world with you in it. Now, let me ask you, do you see these signs in your relationship? Have you noticed how his actions might speak louder than his words? If you ever found yourself wondering if he's more in love with you than he knows, take a moment to reflect on these subtle signs. Let us know in the comments what you've observed. Do you think love begins in the unconscious before the conscious mind catches up? How have you seen these subtle signs in your own life or relationships? What's the most unexpected way someone has shown love to you? Don't forget to like this video if it resonated with you and subscribe for more insights into relationships, love, and the deeper connections that shape our lives.